Hello everybody. In this video we are going to look at how we sort out Google Drive and some things around naming and folder trees. So first thing is we're going to look at naming. This is a terrible way to name your documents. This is a bad way to leave names. You want to name your whatever you're working on, whether it's a Google Slides, a doc, a drawing, and you want to be as specific as you can. Okay, the more specific your name is, the easier it will be to find later. Google Drive has a great feature which you can search your drive. So if you can't remember what folder you put it in, then you can just search and find lots of things that way. So to rename something, you just click on it and then two-finger click if you're on your Chromebook, or you can hit the N key. And that will pull up something to rename. So I'm going to rename this to English paper. So I always start with what the thing actually is. So this is actual English paper. And then I add on maybe my date or my teacher. So I say English paper, Mr. Schaefer. And then you could say November 2020. Okay, names like this are much better, even than just a name like this or this or this. And this means you can search it and find it. You can know when you made it, and it'll be much easier to find. Same thing with when you make a copy of something. So if I made a copy of this because I'm using like a template, I'm going to rename it so I get rid of all those, and then it will fit in line with my other things here. Alright, so that's just a little bit on naming. Remember, the more specific you make your names, the easier it will be to find things. Alright, next we're going to look at making folders. So when you are working in your Google Drive, you want to have folders for like the different categories of things that you do. So for example, I can tell that I have a reading journal that I'm making. So instead of just having these reading journal Google Docs just in with everything else, I'd make a new folder. So I come up to where it says new and then click on folder, and I would call this reading journals. Make sure you spell things right. Reading journals for semester 1 or trimester 1 of 2020. Okay, that'll add a new folder there. And then I'll put these up into that folder. You can do it one by one, or if you hit the control key, you can select multiple documents. Put those in there. Okay, so now all my reading journals are all in this one folder. So I would do that for each class. If you have a science class, then you click new, and you say science class. And then you can put, like I said, your teacher's name, so Schaefer, and then the year or something like that. Okay, whatever you think of is better than what I'm doing because you're the one that needs to remember it. But I would not just put science class because you'll have multiple science classes as you go through school. And then when you want to find something, you'll have to look through, oh, was it this science class folder or this one or this one? So add something else. Add another detail besides just science class. Okay, and then we can put our science project and poster into there. Okay, so now these things are not as simple. Well, I guess the history project, right, the English paper. The grade check document doesn't really go to a specific subject. So this is where you kind of got to decide what makes sense to you. Sometimes you can have like a miscellaneous folder, or if it's just a couple things, you can leave those out, or whatever makes sense to you because you're the one that needs to use it. So I would have another folder here that you can put things in like your grade check or things that are not related to a specific subject. That kind of cut across all your subjects. All right, last thing is kind of like what's called a file tree. So a file tree is where you have multiple folders inside of each other. So at the top here, you can see this is my drive, and then I have a folder called 5th grade computers or 6th grade, and then I have a folder called example folder for organizing. And then if I click into one of these, and then it adds reading journal folder here. So this is how you can organize things into specific categories. So for example, my reading journal, this is probably part of my reading class. So if I have a main reading class, maybe the English paper goes in there too, and then my reading journals goes inside of my reading class folder. Now you can see that I have my reading class and I have the reading journals folder inside of there. Okay, so setting up those file structures. Now you may not have that many files to do it with right now, but that's when it's way easier to do it. If you have to scroll through a Google Drive that has hundreds of documents that you've made between 5th and 8th grade, then it's going to take a lot longer. If you only have a few things right now, then it's very easy to do that. Okay, last thing I would suggest is adding a folder called 2020-2021. Okay, and then I would put all of my things from this year into one folder. And then each year you'll have a different folder for a different school year, so you can see what you did in those different years and keep everything kind of sorted out. Otherwise, you can run into that problem where you have like 5 science classes or 6 science classes or 3 English classes or something like that. So separate them out by year is a good idea. All right, so now I want you to go to your own Google Drive and scroll through your main drive tab on the left, and then start thinking about some folders that you want to have and how you can organize your different documents and assignments and everything.